Hey, what's up, guys? This is Brian from Whisper Status 74. This is the second video on Red Dead Redemption's HDR and Is It Broken? The last video I apparently opened a can of worms as I've gotten a ton of comments. Most of them are pretty all over the place. Some people agreeing, some people disagreeing. The video was really not about anyone agreeing with me or just telling me what you experienced on your displays, regardless of what display you had or what version you were actually playing. I've gotten video or comments saying I copied someone else's video, Solid Rev's video, even though I mentioned him in the video. I got a comment saying that if you don't have a TV that's 1,000 nits, you don't have HDR, which isn't true. That would make every OLED non-HDR at that point. So that's not true either. However, I digress. My final thoughts on the HDR in Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't that it's broken. It's just from what I can gather, with it on, with it off. I also had a comment too about when changing HDR in the Xbox, you need to then restart the title, which you don't have to do that, but I'm clearly not a PC gamer, somebody else wrote. The comments are really all over the place. I won't be answering a lot of those back because there's just so many and everyone's attacking each other. If you're new to the channel, that's not something I do much as far as toxicity, but going back to the HDR part of it, I do believe it's a style choice. It's an artist choice. What they're looking for, in my opinion, is realism. And this is with HDR on. I don't need to show you with it off. Maybe I will, whatever. It's a little bit cleaner, or it seems cleaner with HDR off. In terms of its image just seems brighter and cleaner. However, HDR really implementation isn't really always about making things brighter or cleaner. It's actually in a lot of ways the opposite, as far as enriching the image, making the image look more lifelike and more natural. Reading some reviews of the game outside of Digital Foundry's analysis have all stated that they thought the HDR implementation was not great in comparison to other titles such as Horizon Zero Dawn, the Uncharted series, things of that nature. I believe it looked more washed out because we were in a winter scene, which is a whiteout, which if it's realistic, you're not going to see many pigments or changes in color or saturation in a whiteout. The image is beautiful. It is a very, very good looking game, very detailed. I'm enjoying the game. It's a little slow initially, but the detail is amazing. The game is gorgeous. The HDR slider that everybody has opinion on, which is what I'm looking for, is again all over the map. Some of you have it way up, some of you have it way down. It's just preference. What the game really does need is an HDR slider with the disappearing symbols and a gamma slider. Some of them, like Battlefield and some of the other games, have a slider that goes up. Then the next level down has a gamma slider or a contrast slider that helps you kind of sink it in. Because if you look at the slider for this, there's detail in no matter how dark you go or how bright you go. So I have mine pretty low, I think. Yeah, mine's at 100. Like they say with LED, some of you guys have this up as high as 500, 600. Someone said 500. It all depends on your display, guys. Honestly. So my thing is, though, if I go too bright, do I really want the image to be more washed out? So it makes it brighter. So it's really up to your taste. I like it a little bit deeper, but this actually looks pretty good at 500. Or it's really up to your taste and what displays you have. But the game is gorgeous. Is the HDR broken? Like Solid Rev had said in his video, I don't have the PS4 Pro version, so it may very well be an issue. I also saw ACG's review. Carrick, excellent channel, he reviewed it and said that the PS4 was struggling a little bit with its HDR implementation. Check out his review. Check out Solid Rev's review or his PS4 video to check out what he was saying about the PS4 Pro. The game looks awesome. HDR implementation, as far as I'm concerned, is a artist's in a designer's direction. They want the game to look ultra realistic. If I'm standing outside in a very bright scene like this, I imagine it's going to look a little bit hazy. So I'm happy, very happy with the graphics. I do understand what you guys are saying as far as contrast. So I don't like certain tools like field of view and grain. I want things to look as real as possible, like I'm looking out a window. And to me, this reminds me of a 4K Blu-ray where some of us don't like the grain structure. You know, we like HDR to be more in the God rays and then sunshine and things like that. This to me looks very real. But without a brightness or gamma slider, it's really hard to drop the brightness to increase your black level, because the minute you go into your brightness in your video settings, all that is going to be maxed, at least with your backlight and things of that nature. If you go too dark with the brightness, you're going to knock yourself out of HDR. So I tried lowering the brightness in game, or I'm sorry, in my TV settings, and it just dimmed the entire picture. So what you really need is the gamma to be lower. But the gamma, at least on a Sony 900E and a lot of other displays, has a certain value when HDR is enabled. So am I happy with the image? I think it looks great. It has a faded look to it, and I can see why a lot of you aren't happy with that. It has a lot of yellow hues to it depending on what time of day. It's very detailed. It looks very good, especially for a console title. But like even in here, this looks very washed out to me. So let's just mess around and see if we can go back to the HDR off and see what it looks like and see what you guys think. And I'll even power it off for the PC guy who told me that I need to shut down the app. All right, hold on. This is HDR off, and it is more colorful. And a lot of you are seeing, you know, these purple flowers, these yellow flowers, things like that didn't seem as obvious. And the question or the thought process is, yes, it's more colorful, but is it more realistic? And the answer, in my opinion, is no. It's not more realistic now. It looked more realistic before, as the greens, they're just not as natural as they are in real life. Even though HDR is off, it still has a washed out image to me. It still doesn't look as, the contrast isn't there as far as the dark levels. Now, I haven't gotten to the nighttime scene yet, but it's just not, it's, I don't know which I prefer. I'll leave HDR on, but you know, this is what a lot of you guys are preferring. There is more saturation. The color does pop more. I think if I switched them around and told you this was HDR on, a lot of you guys would think that this was HDR on. So we'll try it one more time and see where we are. Let's look at these flowers and see how they change in terms of their color. And again, in my opinion, this is still pretty washed out. So you can tell just by looking at the flowers that you see here, the grass, the trees, it's a much more muted look. More realistic, but more muted. When we looked before, these flowers, we'll do it one more time. These flowers and everything definitely popped.
Hello.
What's up, man? We definitely popped much more. But is that more natural? There's the purple and yellow flowers. Let's rock it one more time. HDR is now off. So you can definitely see where the flowers and everything do tend to pop a bit more. So in short, is it broken? I'm not sure it's broken. I think it's just probably not the best implementation for a game that's this vast and this beautiful. Someone said in the comments, with a world this large, maybe that wasn't their main idea, HDR, and you know, they might be right. They've done every detail in this game. Will it be patched? The PS4 Pro version, I'm sure, will be patched. Will this version be patched? I'm not sure. Is it playable? I like it. I think it's fine. I'll use HDR on. I like the effect, though it is more muted. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please try to keep the toxicity down just a smidge. I mean, everybody's pretty worked up about this, saying the game is absolute trash. I think the game is amazing. I think it looks fantastic. Just the HDR is not what a lot of us expect from it. Thank you, as always, everyone, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.